So with us, we have Naira Ahmed. Welcome to our program, Naira.
Thank you so much for having me here.
My pleasure. Okay. So as we were talking at the beginning, there's the called Charter of Values. That Charter of Value that is raising a very, very big issue or concern in the Quebec community called our attention. And that's why we're here with Naira and Sumaya. And as I said before, we're going to continue inviting more people to our program to talk about what is that head covering, things that the old religious are using. So, Naira, what do you tell us about what is the hijab?
Okay, so the hijab is more than a head covering. People think that it's simply something that you put on your head and you're Muslim. But hijab is all about modesty, and that's the meaning of the word. It is about covering your body. It's about behaving in ways that's modest with other people and behaving respectfully and just overall embodying modesty in your behavior. So the hijab is a part of it, and it is a veil that you also wear on your head, but at the same time the Quran says to draw that veil over your chest. It says to lower your gaze. So all of those things work with modesty, which is hijab.
Okay, Naira. At the beginning, you explained to us that the hijab is not a religious symbol, as you said a few minutes ago, and also that is the way you behave, the way you presented yourself in front of others. Also, that the style is not a matter of really; it's just colors or a cultural thing. But when we talk about the symbolism of the hijab, uh, it really comes to the point that the hijab is you wear the hijab because you're worshiping Allah or God.
Yes.
So that's where things become confused.
Okay. So the hijab is more than just a symbol, because even though it is an act of worshiping Allah, another act of worshiping God or Allah is like feeding someone who is hungry, or giving charity, or being kind to your parents, or being kind to your friends. So modesty is just another way of worshiping Allah.
When you mention that is required, as the Quran says, is required, we're going to read a verse of the Quran in a few minutes. And but at the same time, it's up to you if you want to wear it or not. Then we go back to the confusion.
Yes.
Okay, and I understand we're talking about beliefs in cultural things that we want to understand as a Western community. The beliefs or that worship,
Yes.
comes from inside. So do you really need the hijab?
The hijab isn't something necessarily that you do just because you're a good Muslim or a bad Muslim. We're all human, and underneath our scarves, we're all human.
Yeah.
But it does have its benefits that one really experiences when you wear it and you act according to the hijab as well. And I think that's a reason why many Muslim women wear it and choose to wear it, because it slightly changes how they behave with other people and what they choose to expose themselves to. Yeah.
Okay, Naira, as you can see, the idea is not to put Naira against the wall. It's just because we want to bring a clarity to clear up what is this confusion. And confusion comes from misunderstanding or lack of knowledge. And that's what we're going to bring here. We're going to, I don't know, bring the facts. Why is Muslim community wearing hijabs? And why we are wearing crosses, the Christians or Catholics. Okay, we're going to go for a small break, and when we come back, we continue with Naira talking about the hijab and the Charter of Values in Quebec. We'll be back in one moment. Okay, once again, the question comes back to us, and it's not about Muslims, it's about every religion that covers their head. So we're going to, as I said, we're going to invite more people from different religions to see what they're thinking about this. And the Charter of Values, we're going to invite few people from Quebec to tell us, to talk with us about what is really the point, where they want to go. Okay, now we have with us Somaya Toba. Welcome to our program, Somaya.
Thank you. Well, thank you for having me.
Our pleasure. And yeah, we continue with Somaya talking about all this issue that is raising up in Quebec about the Charter of Values, talking about the hijab. Or really, it's not only the hijab. They're talking about all the head coverings of everybody. But they're focusing too much in Muslim females because of the hijab. So, okay, we were listening, Naira, before about what is the hijab, but there's some questions about there's different types of hijabs or head coverings.
So the hijab, if you're going to look at the physical part of it, is the covering of everything of a woman with loose clothing except for her face and her hands.
That's hijab.
That's the hijab, yes. But there are different degrees, as Naira was mentioning. So, for example, the niqab is when a woman is covering everything, including her face. So only her eyes are showing. And then there's the burqa, which is a little bit more extreme than that, which is her entire face is covered as well. So there are different degrees as to how much covering a woman can do of her body.
Okay, those degrees in covering depend on how deeply are you in the religion?
So in the Quran, chapter 33, verse 59, it says God is speaking to the Prophet, peace be upon him, and he's saying, tell your daughters and your wives and the women of the believers to cover themselves with their jalabib, which is the word for the dress that they used to wear at the time. And obviously, since times change, it's interpreted in different ways. So some women go with the hijab because it's, maybe it's more convenient or it's what they're more comfortable with. And some women choose to go with the burqa, maybe, again, because culturally it's more comfortable for them or because of their level of religiosity. But basically, we're not supposed to judge as to what a person's intentions are. So perhaps someone is more comfortable wearing the burqa and someone's more comfortable wearing the hijab. But either way, we're all people of the same faith. When
you see a woman wearing a hijab nowadays, you immediately think that it's a religion thing. So why is that? What is that need to be covered if modesty can be shown without being covered?
Well, without getting into the faith too much, we are asked to cover because being modest and being humble is a part of our faith. And so we're asked to cover because we want to be taken seriously in society. We don't want to be judged just based on our figures. We want to establish ourselves as human beings before being categorized as like attractive or anything like that. And so we don't want to be objectified by society is why we're asked to cover.
So we're going to go for a small break, and when we come back, we continue with Somaya with more about the hijab and the values of the Charter of Values in Quebec. We'll be back in one moment. Okay, Somaya, now moving on to the next subject is how people feel uncomfortable. And the example is if there's a woman wearing the burqa or the niqab is coming close to me, I'm pretty sure I'm not going to feel comfortable. Mm-hmm. Why? Is as simple as because I cannot see which are this person's intention. I cannot read her face. Mm-hmm. I cannot read if is a nice or is a not nice person. And we all communicate over our body signs. I don't know.
I think what's interesting is that again, I know body language is an important thing, but to say that you're going to judge someone based on their face is a little bit problematic. It's like judging a book by its cover. Someone could look at me and instantly judge me and, jump to conclusions about, terrorism or so, just because of the world that we live in, but that's not always the case. I think when it comes to the niqab, what it is that although I might not wear it and I might not say openly encourage it, I still respect a woman's choice to wear it. So Canada is built on a foundation of multiculturalism, and it's built on a foundation of diversity and understanding. And if we make things that are different illegal, how are we ever going to learn about them? How are we ever going to start to get comfortable around women who wear the niqab if we just ban them completely? So it's about acceptance, and it's about respecting her choice to wear it. Even if we might not necessarily agree with why she's wearing it, we have to respect her freedom of wearing it.
Okay, but when we talk about the respect, it has to be both sides, 50-50. So if I'm feeling uncomfortable and I have to work with, let's say, a woman who is wearing the debka or the niqab, either one, and I'm not feeling comfortable because I cannot have that body language going on. I can respect. I understand that she's wearing that because of her religion, but what happened to me?
Again, I think Canada is a wonderful country because it gives people the opportunity to live freely. It gives them the opportunity to practice their faiths as they like. Now, the only way, I'm not saying I'm going to force you to get comfortable, but the only way to allow people the opportunity to get comfortable is to allow the niqab to continue to be a part of society. If we ban it, it'll always be stigmatized. It'll always be a fear. Now, niqab isn't the only thing that's getting banned because of the Charter of Values. We're also banning putting crosses in office spaces, and we're banning, the yarmulke. We're banning any kind of religious symbol, so to speak. So how are we ever going to allow these people to live freely and allow ourselves to be educated and acclimate to these type of things unless we allow them to be a part of our daily lives?
Okay, that's absolutely understandable. But now let's put it in a different perspective. If somebody goes to your house, do you think you're going to allow that person to tell you how to organize your house or how you have to dress inside of your house?
No.
Exactly. And now when we, the immigrants, we come to Canada, are we expecting to tell Canadians how they have to change their house?
Okay, well, how I would respond to that is I would say a person wearing the niqab or wanting to hang a cross in their office isn't necessarily asking you to rearrange your house. They're maybe asking that you respect their personal beliefs. So say, the way that I would add to this analogy is I would say if someone wearing a niqab came to my house and they asked, for example, that they don't eat pork, that you don't serve pork. They're basically asking not that you rearrange your house or rearrange Canada as a legal structure. They're just asking that you make a little bit of sensitivity in their case. Just because it is a personal belief and it is something that's private. So when you put it into a legal space and you try to legalize or criminalize or ban or whatever it is that you're trying to do, you're automatically taking their private circumstances and making it public. And so I think what a person wearing the niqab or wanting to wear the yarmulke or wanting to hang a cross, I think that their beliefs should be respected and at the very least left out of legal the legal atmosphere.
Okay, Sumaya, why do you think this is based on women, Muslim women? What all the Charter of Rights, the big mess is coming out of just with Muslim women?
I think because we live in a post 9/11 world, there is automatically going to be a much greater emphasis on anything involving Muslims or the Islamic faith. Because we do wear our faith around our heads, or men choose to grow beards, we are automatically easier to point out. Someone could wear a cross necklace, but they can just tuck it into their shirt, for example. So we can't hide quite as easily. And because, like I said, we live in a post 9/11 world, there are so much negative stigmas and negative connotations attached to us as a people. But like I said, I don't think the focus should just be on us, because there are other people who are being hurt by the Charter of Values. I think you had shared a story with us about a woman who wanted to hang a cross in her office. Or I have several classmates with me at school who wear yarmulkes. I mean, they're going to be affected by this just as much as I am, or a woman wearing the niqab would be. So I think this is an issue that all people should care about, not just people who are obviously religious.
Okay, as we were talking, you can see this is a lot of symbolism. So we should focus in our symbols. If we go through every detail in our life, we symbolize everything we're doing. And we can talk from the Amish community to Muslims, Catholic, Jewish, Buddhism. Every single community, every single culture symbolizes their lives in different objects or materialized things in order to be understood or in order to be to hold in something for their lives. So is it really something that the community should be focusing, or we should be just more understandable of how things work in our lives? And I understand that there's people who can live without bothering others. It's more understanding. Let's understand each other. And for sure, we're going to have a better life, a better place to live. So we're going to go for a small break, and when we come back, we continue with Sumaya with more about the hijab and the values of the Charter of Values in Quebec. We'll be back in one moment. Okay, Sumaya, let me put a suggestion on place, okay? As we were talking behind cameras about this subject, is when you grow up, when you come to this world, you start getting teach how to behave, how to in front of the community, in front of your peers, in front of the society, and there's a society rules, no, that we follow up as we are growing in our countries. Specifically, each culture has their own values and moral integrity and all this stuff. So, as I said before, when I ask you, okay, I can feel uncomfortable when a woman with the burqa came close to me. It's not I'm going against her. It's not that I don't respect her beliefs, but I myself feeling uncomfortable. So this is my suggestion. Why don't this woman, specifically with the niqab and the burqa, why don't this woman take out the covering of their face, not the hijab? They can wear the hijab, and they just uncover the face so I can read their faces. I'm not looking for the beauty. I'm looking for this body language, this communication. So I know who is in front of me, and I know who's talking to me, and the intentions and this body language we all have. And they can wear it when they're going inside of the mosque or when they're going to pray or in those specific Muslim or Islamic moments. But at the time they are with the community at large, the face is clear, so we can see them. What do you think about that?
I think, as I said earlier, the only way to get rid of the stigma or to become more comfortable with them is to have them in society, to have interactions with them, and to see that they are just normal people. My problem with asking them to remove the niqab is, I know what you're saying. You respect their faith, you respect their choices, but at the same time, you're asking them to conform to what society expects of them. You're asking them to become your idea of how a person should be. You know, you think you need that body language, but maybe after a few interactions with someone with the niqab and the burqa, you'll see that it's completely the same. You know, it's just something that you have to, I don't want to say like get used to, or, you know, I don't want to impose anything on you, but it's definitely something that after a couple of interactions, you'll see it really doesn't make that much of a difference.
I completely agree with you. Probably after some interactions, we're going to get, in a friendly manner. Mm-hmm. After I understand who is behind. But it doesn't mean that I'm not going to feel that I'm talking with somebody I can see. There's people who will never feel comfortable talking with somebody without face. Mm-hmm. So that's the point. It's not that we are asking that person to change anything. It's just to show their face. It's not the faith. It's not the religion. It's not the beliefs. No. Mm-hmm. It's not that the person behind or the person interacting with this woman is trying to go further than that. No, it's just being able to talk face to face, mm-hmm. as we talk.
The thing is, if someone has made the choice to wear the niqab or the burqa, it is linked to their faith. It is because she has made the decision that in order to fully worship our Lord and to fully worship in her way, she needs to make that decision. So for us, we can say, oh, it's just an interpretation or it's just a choice. But to her, it's something very deeply personal and very deeply linked to her faith. So to ask someone to remove it would be like asking me to take off my hijab. It's just something that, would deeply offend me and would definitely affect my faith.
Yeah, but again, the matter is not to offend anybody. No, that's not the point. The point is to try to find the even point.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
if that's how you express your faith, and that's the way you do it. But the other side, there's this person who is feeling completely uncomfortable, and they have to be together. Let's put that picture.
Yes.
They have to be together because that's the workplace, both in the same workplace.
Yes.
And it's not going to be a very nice interaction.
Maybe not at the beginning, but I'm sure after a while they'll get along just fine. I mean, the burqa and the niqab, it does instill certain boundaries that a woman has created in order, to keep her relationship with men at a professional level. So on some degree, it is there to create a sense of boundaries, of space, but again, it doesn't mean that she can't have a conversation and then she can't maintain a professional degree of interaction. So I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, the interaction will be just as the same as everybody else, because it'll definitely be a little bit different. But I think Canada is built on this foundation of multiculturalism and of acceptance. I would like to think that someone who wears the niqab or wears the burqa would be able to be comfortable in a workspace. It would be a good representation of the multiculturalism of Canada as a whole. We need to see women who wear the hijab or wear the niqab, or men who wear yarmulkes or have crosses in their offices. We need to see that to see a full representation of all the different cultures and beliefs that Canada has as a country. So I feel that by asking someone to change that, you're asking to put on a fake face of what Canada is as a whole. And we can't do that. We should be proud of all the different cultures and faiths that Canadians practice.
Okay, there you are. Sumaya is stating once again. Okay, so let's try to think about just to recap a few points. What is it? A political or legal thing? All of this should everybody understand is something that the human rights should come up and put the point to, and how far can we focus in Muslim community and not other communities? So we're going to leave today with these questions, with interrogants, and we're going to come back in another program with more about the hijab and the Charter of Values in Quebec. So thank you very much, Sumaya, for being with us.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Okay. So see you next week.